Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Gold and silver are holding on to gains. Let's explore. There's been a little bit of a recovery of some of these lost gold and silver prices in the last couple of days. And of course, platinum and palladium and rhodium have been holding on fairly strong. Palladium, though, took a little bit of a hit today, but by and large, gold and silver are kind of making a little bit of a comeback, which is a bit surprising to me because most of us would agree that gold and silver tend to fall at the end of the year in the holiday season, the doldrums of the holiday monotony and the like. People are focused on spending their money on gifts and other things, but it's a little bit different. Let's see what this article from Kitco has to say about it. Jim Wyckoff, gold and silver are holding on to Tuesday's solid gains here. The future prices are steadily to narrowly mixed in early U.S. trading Wednesday, but are holding on to the strong gains posted Tuesday. Short covering in the futures markets and perceived bargain buying in the cash markets were featured Tuesday, possibly prompting by a slumping U.S. dollar index that has this week hit a 2.5-year low. And I think that's what it is. You know, the U.S. dollar, it's like clockwork. When the U.S. dollar is down, gold and silver tend to go up. It's not always the case, but most of the time that's what happens. February gold futures were last up $2.60 at $1,821.70 per ounce, and March COMEX silver was last down a dime at $23.98. Global stock markets were mixed to weaker overnight. U.S. stock indexes were pointed towards modestly lower openings when the New York day session begins, on some mild profit-taking after two major indexes hit record highs on Tuesday. Upbeat traders and investors continue to look at the bright light at the end of the dark COVID-19 tunnel. Even though there will be a few more rough months ahead, very successful vaccines for the pandemic virus will be rolling out to some of the general public as soon as this month, and that's true. In fact, it was announced that the United Kingdom has approved, the first Western nation to do so, the Pfizer vaccine, and will be rolled out very, very soon. And here in the United States, next week there will be, I guess the FDA will approve probably the Pfizer vaccine, and it will be immediately distributed to priority patients and people out there. So it's very fascinating to see how this plays out. It's a logistical miracle, essentially, done through the military. It's how it's going to be distributed. I think that's going to be a positive effect, which could send the dollar index up and gold and silver down before the end of the year. So these gains may be short-lived, but we'll see how it plays out. Also buoying marketplace sentiment are renewed talks among U.S. congressional leaders on a financial stimulus package for Americans. U.S. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin and Federal Reserve Chairman Powell will testify today before a U.S. House committee and will likely be asked about the stimulus package and its prospects, although they're looking at the McConnell version, and apparently that's a no-go for Democrats. The U.S. economic data point of the day at midweek as the November ADP National Unemployment Report expected to show a rise of 475,000 jobs. This report is the precursor to Friday morning's U.S. Unemployment Situation Report from the Labor Department. The key non-farm payrolls number in that report is expected to come in at 440,000 workers. The U.S. dollar index is firmer early today after hitting a 2.5-year low Tuesday. The other important outside market sees January NYMEX crude oil futures prices near steady and trading around $44.50 a barrel. The OPEC oil cartel is meeting this week and will be discussing keeping its present production cuts. The yield on the benchmark 10-year U.S. Treasury note futures is currently trading at 0.92%. U.S. economic data due for release Wednesday includes the weekly MBA mortgage application survey, the ADP National Employment Report, the ISMN New York Report on Business, the weekly DOE Liquid Energy Stocks Report, and the Federal Reserve's Beige Book. Yes, indeed, all these things will definitely have an impact one way or the other, probably for the dollar and for gold and silver. Technically, the February gold futures bears still have the overall near-term technical advantage, and that certainly does make sense. Prices are in a 3-week-old downtrend on the daily bar chart. Bull's next upside price objective is to produce a close in February futures above solid resistance at $1,860. Bear's next near-term downside price objective is pushing future prices below solid technical support at this week's low of $1,767.20. A pretty almost $100 spread there between the two. First resistance is seen at the overnight high of 1835 and then at 1850. So there you go. Fascinating indeed. Silver, bulls and bears are back on a level overall near-term technical playing field, but bulls have some momentum on their side. Silver bull's next upside price objective is closing prices above solid technical resistance at $25 an ounce. The next downside price objective for the bears is closing prices below solid support at the September low of $21.93. First resistance is seen at the overnight high of $24.45 and then at $25. Next support is seen at the overnight low of $23.68 and then at $23. So we'll see how that all plays out for sure. Looking again at the prices where we're at, these markets are certainly in an upwards direction here, but they may be short-lived, at least through the end of the year. But as I mentioned before, I am bullish overall for gold and silver into 2021. It may not be until the second quarter of 2021, but I am certainly bullish on the metals. Now, as to where that is and what that result will be, I don't know. Can't say for sure, but I'm thinking, somewhere around the $2,000 level for gold, maybe higher, and somewhere near $30 for silver, but it's anybody's guess. Might do a video on that. But here, the gold to silver ratio is narrowed a little bit to 76.02, still very wide comparatively to where it really, many of us feel it should be between the gold and silver ratio. Gold has performed very well this year, and although these prices here are not the record highs that we saw nominally, certainly I think it's something to pay attention to and focus on, and be amazed that gold has done so well, even though it's pulled back from its all-time highs. Silver's done well, but really it's got so much more room to move to catch up to its record high. And in my feeling, it should be higher than it is now. There's myriad of different reasons. Many agree or disagree on some of the reasons why silver isn't higher. And maybe even some people feel like gold should be higher now too. But nonetheless, there it is. Either way, wherever we are at, these metals, we hold them in our hand, and we know that they are a thing of value and of beauty. And I think the beauty is a very important factor in holding gold and silver. They are quite unique in their appearance. And I think that is something that no matter if you are just a sterile investor or what have you, or you're a stacker and you're just pulling away eagles and what have you, or buffaloes, or the most standardized bullion possible, take them out sometime and take a look at them, because I think it's worthy to inspect them, to see the beauty that is made up of those metals, down to the science of the metals too. I think it's intriguing and fascinating, and typically that is what happens to pure stackers. They accumulate these metals. We keep track of the prices. We buy when there's a little bit of a dip in the metals. When we celebrate when the price goes up, and we if we were to have to sell, maybe the price increases to such a point we actually make money on the sale of the metals during the course of our holding them. But nonetheless, it is about preserving your wealth, really, in the end, and that's really what it's about: preservation of wealth. But it's also about, I think, about the beauty of the metals. Why, it's no surprise that many a pure stacker, they do end up becoming collectors at some level in due course. The beauty of the metals shine through. So there you have it. Interesting news for the day. The metals make a move and are holding on ground to these gains. A little bit unusual for this time of year, but we'll take it for sure. For those of us who are tapped out in terms of funds, it really makes no difference. Speaking of which, I do want to reflect, and probably will reflect upon this more often than not, but whenever I do post these market updates, understand that the fundamentals have not changed, nor will they change. But I do report on them just because it's newsworthy, and it's part of what the channel is about, the commentary and reporting on the news with regards to precious metals. But really, in the end, it should make no difference to the long-term stacker. We buy, we hold, and we look at what's going on. But I do believe it's important to be aware of what's going on with the price and why it moves one way or the other. Because if not, some may feel jaded or elated at the price movement thereof and not really understand why there is movements in these prices. And I believe some of that, much of that does lay outside of technical analysis, though I do have great respect for it. And Jim Wyckoff tends to do both when he does his articles here at Kitco. So there you have it. The fundamentals remain the same. We stack, we hold on to gold and silver. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.